Okay.
Welcome to the May 10th, 2023 CAPC Workshop. Present tonight is David Alvazino, Chris Jones, Mark Hicks, and our new director, Scott Bart, and myself, Steve Holofield. I'm an assistant chair, but I'm chairing tonight because Chris Clifton is out of town. So we really don't have a big agenda tonight, or any agenda. The workshops are different from the regular meetings because we don't vote on anything. We don't have to have a quorum to meet. We talk about pretty much anything we want to discuss openly, and then any decisions have to be made on our next meeting, which is later this month at 6 o'clock. I have to look at the date on my calendar. So we have our iPads here now with the new bylaws that have been suggested. Did we vote on those last time, Scott?
No, sir.
No.
We did not. They were, have been available to review for the past at least the last meeting, and we've not been able to get that on the agenda. But I think Chris wanted to bring it to the commission tonight just to look at and discuss and possibly vote on it at our next regular meeting.
Right. So everybody have the iPads with the bylaws present? If you have any suggestions, do we want to go through this step by step? You just want to review it? Anybody have any questions?
I think we should probably take it step by step. I don't
Okay.
know the last time this was reviewed, so.
You want to take the lead on that?
Sure? You just want the sections read?
Whatever.
Okay. Article 1, creation and membership of the commission. Section 1, creation of the commission. The Eureka Springs City Advertising and Promotion Commission, hereby referred to as the Commission, has been created by and in accordance with provisions of Acts of Arkansas 2017, Arkansas Code 26-75-605, and enabling city code and ordinances, Title II, Chapter 2.56 and 2.60, which formally established the commission. I don't think there needs to be any change there.
Yep.
Section 2, membership of a commission. The commission shall be composed of 7 members as follows. 4 members shall be owners or general managers of businesses in the tourism industry within the Eureka Springs city limits, and the owner or general manager shall reside within Carroll County, Arkansas. 4 of these commission members shall be owners or general managers of hotels, motels, restaurants, or bars, and shall serve for staggered terms of 4 years. 2 commission members shall be members of the governing body. Sorry, this is an Apple. I can't stand Apple. Anyway.
I have it on paper if you want to read it.
No, that's fine. 2 commission members shall be members of the governing body of the municipality and selected by the governing body and shall serve at the will of the governing body. And 1 member shall be appointed by the mayor from the public at large, who shall reside in Carroll County, Arkansas, ordinance number 2220, section 1, and then 1-26-15. Section 3, each member of the commission shall file any oath required by law in the state of Arkansas of public officials. A commissioner appointed under the provision of this article may be removed for cause upon a 2/3 vote of the city council.
Hold on. I have one comment after section 2. I've seen bylaws of other commissions where they actually list seat 1, when the term expires. Right now, I don't have any idea when, like Chris's term expires. I think they're set for 3 years. Yeah.
I think it's 4, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's the point. This is
So-
what the bylaws are for, so we can look in there and go, well, it's clear here.
So what you're saying is it would be good to try and list each seat and then the term it expires, and so you would add 4 years. Okay.
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
And other websites, other commissions, they'll list the commissioner members and what seat they're in and when their term expires and stuff. I haven't looked at the CAPC website in a while, but that's information the public should know. Of course, the two city council positions are up every January to be reassigned by the city council.
Okay. Okay to move on?
Sure.
Okay. Section 3, each member of the commission shall file any oath required by the state of Arkansas of public officials. A commissioner appointed under the provision of this article may be removed for cause upon a 2/3 vote of the city council. Section 4, at the January meeting of each year, the commissioners shall elect a chair whose term shall be for 1 year, but chair can be elected for succeeding terms. Commissioners shall also elect a vice chair and a secretary treasurer whose term shall be for 1 year, but vice chair and secretary treasurer can be elected for succeeding terms. These 3 roles shall be held by separate people. Section 5, the chair shall preside at all meetings and shall decide points of order or procedures. In the absence of the chair, the vice chair will fill in. Should both the chair and vice chair be unavailable, the chair may designate a representative to fill in until he or she returns. Section 6, vacancies on the commission. Whether resulting from expiration of a regular term or otherwise, a vacancy on the commission in any of the 4 tourism industry positions or in the at-large position shall be filled by appointment made by the remaining members of the commission with the approval of the governing body of the city. Section 7, a vacancy shall be declared by the chair if at any time a commission member should resign, should miss a total of 3 consecutive meetings without just cause, such as documented illness, family death, disaster, etc. If the death of a commission member occurs or the commission member no longer possesses the qualifications of the seat. And I've heard talk before about this 3 consecutive meetings being expanding that to a total number of missed meetings in a year, in a calendar year. Does anybody want to discuss that one? Because, I mean, to me, it's like you miss 1 meeting, you're at the next, then you miss the next 2, then you're at the next. And there's, from my experience, there's been a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no continuity when people don't show up for meetings as they're supposed to. So we can
Without just cause, documented illness, family death, disaster. Would you want that without just cause or just no cause?
Well, I just think that, just cause is just cause. I get that. But when you, show up at 1 meeting, then you miss the next 2, then you show up at the next one, you're always evading that 3rd meeting, which throws things off. We've been there ourselves, having to call you in on your phone while you're working just to have a quorum. So I guess my question is, should we keep the consecutive and then add no more than so many meetings in a calendar year?
What do y'all think? This is open discussion.
Well, I just gave my thoughts, so it's up to y'all.
And I could see someone, if you do like 3, and then someone misses every other meeting,
Right.
technically they're not falling under this restriction, but
Yeah.
it's, I would like to think if a commissioner was missing so much, they just go ahead and resign because they couldn't fulfill the days.
Has it been abused this so far? I mean, is it a problem?
I know in the years that I've been coming to CAPC meetings, there have been several instances where people weren't in attendance for, let's say, 2 meetings in a row, or they'll hit that time where they don't show up, and it's thrown a wrench into what the commission can actually vote on or do. So in my opinion, and from what I've seen, it has caused issues before.
Well, you know,
And one of those issues is, there was a day that, I think it was a meeting, our first meeting that was held at 3 o'clock. You couldn't be here, so we had to call you just to establish
Right.
a
And
quorum.
I run a business by myself, so
Oh, no, I'm not
that's,
dissing on you.
the
at any-
business is going to come first, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I had no problem with doing it on the phone. I mean,
Yeah. And what I'm trying to say is that, I think we alleviated that issue by going back to the 5 p.m. workshop, 6 p.m. meetings, so that we could accommodate people who do, have jobs.
for several reasons, including parking and
Yeah.
everything, so. I have more of an issue with the structure of the meetings themselves. This meeting today is not a meeting, it's a workshop.
Right.
But the workshops, usually on other commissions, have a topic, and you show up and we talk about construction of walls or something like that, and have people come in to talk about it. These meetings are open workshops to talk about anything you want to talk about without Robert's rules, which I understand, that's nice, but we can't make any decisions about anything.
Right.
We can't vote on anything. Therefore, we're just meeting once a month.
Yeah.
And then people don't make those meetings,
Yeah.
then that's, or if more than, and of course, we're down 2 commissioners right now. If 2 of us was sick, or 1 of us was sick today, there wouldn't be a meeting. Of course, this is not a meeting against workshop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not in favor of this format. I think we really should have 2 meetings. And if we need workshops, call workshops like everybody else does.
As needed.
I'm
This is-
going to agree with you
I
on
like
that
that.
one.
This
It's
is-
really twice a month is
This
really.
openness about, let's just have a workshop and talk about anything we want.
Yeah.
It's nice to brainstorm, but it's like, it really needs to have business taken care of. We can't do business at this meeting, even though we're all meeting.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Are you saying having one meeting per month or whatever it takes, but you would have a workshop and then you would have the regular meeting after that?
A
We have-
workshop is needed, isn't that what you're saying?
We would do 2 meetings a month,
Okay.
and then we'd have a workshop as needed. If we have a topic comes up that says we need to talk about restructuring computer system or something like that, then we'd come in an hour early and have a workshop. That's where the other commissioners do it. Mr. Henke, you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, so it's a pendulum swing back and forth. Before I was involved with the commission in, 2014, they actually had 2 official meetings, and they had the opposite of what you're saying, as we don't need that much official. We need something more relaxed so we can all just kind of bop ideas off each other, talk about the color of this. Is that the ad that we wanted to place? What's going on with this parade? It was all they needed a more informal format is why it
Right.
happened that way. If you make them both very official, then you have to have an agenda and everything got real structured. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a personality, the personality of the people at the table and what you want to get out of it. It can go either way, but just the little history there of, and the workshops, different than what you're talking about, where it's actually you're workshopping an idea. The workshops used to be just all of us come together and we just shared ideas, and it didn't have this formal. It was just at the CAPC office. You're all around a much smaller table. If somebody from the community showed up, you're like, yeah, pull up a chair. What do you got going on? So that's why it was actually a little more conducive and felt a little more inclusive, less starchiness than what you got in your workshops now. But that's the history of how that went.
Yeah, I appreciate
Thanks, Damon.
the history there.
Thanks, Damon.
Damon, did you guys meet at different venues other than here, or you tried to meet at one location?
So you're in the days of the courthouse jury room was where everybody was crammed in for official meetings. And then actually at the back of the CAPC old office, there was a little bitty room that we had workshops in. Don't do that because it was it repelled people from coming in and interacting. This format is much better, other than it doesn't feel workshop-y, it feels too official. But that's the difference between them.
Okay.
Right. Well, I know there's plus and minuses of both. I know our chair, Chris Clifton, likes this format, so I want to put that plug in for Chris since he's not here. So, I'm feeling like going behind his back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but,
and I'm going to go back to section 5,
okay.
where it says the chair shall preside at meetings and it continues, that we do workshops that are structured. Let's say we have a workshop on how to teach stakeholders and business owners to use the new website or submit events. I still think that's needed because I get a ton of phone calls on how to submit an event or why isn't my listing posted, that kind of stuff. And Caitlin, if she's still in here, has been very helpful with getting that stuff, helping me out with that stuff. And also, I'd like to have some kind of agenda, whether it be a workshop or regular meetings. Absolutely, we need an agenda. And preferably at least 24 hours in advance so that we can do the research that we need to do and review documents or what have you.
Said that's under 5?
I'm just wondering if that's where that can go under Section 5. That our regular commission meetings have a structured agenda. Workshops will be a topic for discussion, whether it be for us and the general public. But let's just not have a workshop and call it a workshop and sit around and talk about stuff.
And I'm not advocating for more meetings. I don't
No, I'm not either.
care for meetings
Yeah.
myself, but they're necessary. But also, if there's no agenda, then don't meet, you know? I mean, that's,
Yeah.
other commissions, if they don't have business before them, they don't have to have a meeting. You know,
Yeah.
people have time to put stuff in and request something on the agenda, even the public. And if there's nobody wanting to have a meeting, what do you have a meeting for? So.
I was at Section 7, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Article 2, offices. Section 1, the principal office of the commission shall be decided by the commission. Office hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. The commission shall have the power and authority to move or establish and maintain branch or subordinate offices at any other locations within the city limits of Eureka Springs. Are those our current hours, Scott? 8 to 5? Okay.
Actually, they're about 8 to 8, but we try to leave at 5.
I was excluding you from that office hours. Okay, Article 3, duties and powers of the commission. Section 1, duties of the commission. The commission is the body that determines the use of the city advertising and promotion fund. Section 2, the commission shall be empowered to employ and to terminate such employment as executive director and all other personnel and contracted services agencies deemed necessary to carry out the functions, operations, and purposes of the commission and its agencies created herein or at a later date. I'm just pausing between sections in case you guys have questions or comments. Section 3, the commission is empowered and shall have the authority to fix the salaries, or other compensation for such personnel. Any employee who shall handle funds for the commission shall be required to furnish the city a surety bond in an amount to be determined by the commission to ensure the city against misappropriation of funds. Section 4, the commission shall have the authority to establish fair, transparent, and competitive procedures for procuring and approving any contracted services deemed necessary by the commission. Section 5, the commission hereunder appointed in addition to their other powers enumerated by state law shall have the exclusive right and power to make purchases of all supplies necessary for the management and operation of the commission. Section 6, subject to the commission's review and approval, the commission delegates to the executive director necessary responsibilities to properly administer the business of the commission within policies and directions set by the commission. Section 7, all expenditures must be reviewed and approved by the commission. Section 8, the executive director may be an ex officio member, non-voting member of the commission. Should an interim director be appointed, the commission will oversee all decisions, including contracts and payments. Now it's time for someone else to read.
Would they want to?
I can't focus on the screen that long. I'll get spots, so now I can't read off of this.
Commission Financial Reporting and Budget, Section 1. A monthly financial statement covering the preceding month shall be compiled and presented by the Tourism Director to the Commission as its regular monthly meeting. Do we have a Tourism Director? Do we have a Tourism Director?
I don't know. Yes, we do. I don't know if my title is tourism director or executive tourism director, or
There used to be a separate.
they were separate. And my understanding is the difference was the executive director had the authority to hire people and to recommend termination.
Right.
I think that was separated years ago. Am I correct on that? I think that was, and then the commission wanted to take the authority back of the hiring and the termination process. So I think that's the difference between the two job titles.
Well, the financial statements prepared by your opposition, right?
Correct.
And presented by,
Well, in the past, when Rick was here, he was presenting the financial statements to the commission, and I'm assuming he was doing it on behalf of the tourism director, because I don't even think he had one at the time. And now that you have a tourism director, but you really don't have a interim financial bookkeeper, kind of wearing two hats right here.
yeah.
They do need to be separated, and I do have something to talk to you about a job description for a financial assistant, so we can separate those duties out.
Right.
So I think once that happens, it will clarify what we're talking about now.
So this section needs to be updated, because right now it says tourism director. So we need to flag that to change it to, if we're not going to have a tourism director, that's going to be you, then we need to have the CAPC director presenting to the commission. Is that right? Anybody else have any? Is there going to be a tourism director? Has that been decided?
At this moment in time, I don't think it's necessary. I think what we really need to do is start breaking apart the duties, particularly with myself. We need to think about employing a financial assistant, a financial bookkeeper, so that I can start the process of training them with the job duties that I currently take care of for the CAPC, but yet review their work.
Right.
That would free me up a lot of time devoting. I spend quite a bit of time on the financial part of it, but it will free me up. So the answer to your question is whether we need to hire a tourism director. I think right now we need to hire a financial assistant, bookkeeper to be trained. Then I can answer your question a lot better with the tourism director. But right now I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Scott.
Your mic? Yeah. Can you repeat all that? Well, as you settle into your position and figure out what's needed, probably at some point you need to bring it to the council and say, this is my breakdown of what we need here. There was an old auditorium director at one time.
Right.
You know, is that something we're going to have in the future? I'm not wed to any of that, but I think we need to kind of.
I'm going to develop a flow chart and show you as to where I think we will eventually be this time next year. And it will have positions such as the auditorium director there as a tentative position, but you'll see the staffing as we grow our tourism here.
Okay.
But right now, I wouldn't want to hire a full staff right at this moment.
Right.
But it will be coming shortly, hopefully. A lot of this will depend on where we go next year with our advertising agency and how much we can do in-house and how much money we can utilize locally instead of internationally and do the same or better job. And that's the goal. That's where I'm headed with this.
Completely understand that. Section 2, the commission shall follow the City of Eureka Springs general rules and reporting procedures for purchasing and merchandise and services. Section 3, the executive director will prepare a budget for the following year with approval made by the commission before or during the first regular meeting in January of the budget year. Section 4, commission shall prepare a complete annual budget beginning in September of the previous year and by the beginning of each fiscal year, and shall submit the budget for review to the mayor and city council at the first regular meeting of the city council after the budget has been approved by the commission. The budget shall reflect anticipated revenue, proposed itemized expenditures, the names of the banks at which the advertising promotion fund is deposited, and the amount deposited in each account. MC 1978, Section 43204F. Section 5, the commission shall make quarterly reports to the mayor and the city council, reporting in full on the operations of the commission, including an accounting of receipts and disbursements, and shall, upon request of the city council, furnish such other and further reports and data as may be required. The commission shall select a certified public accountant or a firm of certified public accountants to submit an annual audit of the operations of the commission to the mayor and the city council. Ordinance number 936, section 4F, 5-4-72. Organization. Section 1, the commission shall meet monthly as often as may be necessary, also shall be subject to special call by the chair.
I think this section is where what we were just talking about would go.
Right. So there, I don't see anything about our workshops listed in here, monthly workshops. This is further down.
I think from my point of view, with the data and the information that I have coming through my office, honestly is overwhelming, but we manage it well. And when we have a financial regular meeting, there's oftentimes I wish we had met prior to that meeting so that I can discuss a lot of the information that you're going to be looking at in your regular meeting, but you'll have so much more knowledge that I'm comfortable with it, instead of trying to present everything to you in 1 hour time when everyone else is here and they want your attention. They want to talk about different things too. And so it's a lot to comprehend for you. But if we had, listen, I think we should try it. A workshop 30 and 40 minutes before the regular meeting, because I know you'll feel better about the regular meeting because you'll have so much more information, and I want that to be shared with you. So
On the financial stuff?
it's just so much more. Yeah, it's just,
Well, the city council has a 45-minute meeting before the regular
They
city
do?
council once a month, just to go over financial stuff.
in
So that's one format, And again, if that's not necessary, there's 1 month you said, I don't really have that much to talk about, you don't have to schedule it, so. Section 2, the commission shall adopt such rules and regulations as they may deem necessary and expedite for the proper operation of the commission, and they shall have the authority to alter, change, or amend such rules and regulations at their discretion. Ordinance 936, Section 4B, 5-4-72. Section 3, meeting location will be designated by the chair. Section 4, special meetings of the commission for any purpose may be called by the chair or any 3 members of the commission at such time as may be necessary in the judgment of the person or persons calling said meeting. Provide reasonable notice of time, place, and purpose of said meeting is given. Whenever possible, at least a 24-hour notice shall be given to commissioners. I wonder under Section 3, meeting location be designated by the chair I'm backing up one, but for the purpose of, if I became chair, could I say, let's all meet at Pizza Hut And then that may be fine and okay, but they won't be recorded for the public unless we bring recorded devices with us. So it really does limit where we can meet if we're going to, stick with wanting the public to be able to see it on YouTube later or have it recorded. It's required that it be recorded, I'm pretty sure. Section 5, written or printed notice of every special meeting of the board members shall be prepared and delivered to each commission member not less than 24 hours before such a meeting, except in the rare case of an immediate decision being required. At least 2-hour notice is required for a rare emergency. Such notice shall state the object thereof and the time and place of the meeting. No business shall be transacted in special meetings other than referred to in the notice. Section 6, majority of the members of the commission shall constitute a quorum. Number 7, no formal business shall be conducted without a quorum, and no member may vote by proxy. Section 8, the order of business shall follow this distributed agenda set by the chair unless otherwise agreed to by the members. Section 9, the commission shall adopt such rules and regulations as they may deem necessary and expedite for the proper operation of the commission, and they shall have the authority to alter, change, or amend such rules and regulations as their discretion with a majority vote of the commission at a regular meeting. We've also been told, though, you can't add anything to our agenda unless someone makes a motion, and the motion has to be seconded, and then there has been majority vote to add to the agenda at the meeting. Now, you can call Scott and say, next week I want this added to the agenda, and that's fine. And the reason that's different is because it will be posted, and the public will have notice of what the agenda is. But when you come up to the meeting and you add something to the meeting at the last minute, then the general public do not have the opportunity to come running down here and going, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that topic. That's why these agendas are set.
In openness and fairness, I don't have anything to do with the agenda. Now, if you call me and you have something you want to add, I'm gonna do everything I can to get it on that agenda, but I don't have the agenda in front of me, setting it myself as if I'm looking at it right now. But I want you to know that, but I'm not saying I'm not willing to do that. I'm
Right.
just letting you know.
Who's been doing the agenda?
The
Chris?
chair.
Chris has been doing the agenda?
And it's been that way for years. I mean, well,
Really?
the 2.5 or 3 years I've been working here. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I want you to understand what my involvement is with that.
What do y'all
Right
think
now.
about that?
I think the chair should give a rough draft of an agenda to the staff, whoever that staff person may be, whether it's Danielle or Caitlin or whoever, and type that agenda up, send it to us 24 hours in advance. And if there's something, you have to post it to 24 or 48 hours.
You know, I'd have to pull out my Robert's Rules of Orders, because there's certain situations that require a 24 minimum and a 48. Generally, my rule of thumb is I need that agenda out to the public and to the commission at least 48 hours before the meeting, at least 48. So that means I need to back it up, such as if we're going to be meeting on a Tuesday, Friday, I'm sending the agenda out to you. And so Monday, the deadline is to let me know what you want to add so I can get it out that Monday afternoon in order to have it ready for our meeting on our Wednesday when we meet. So that's how I would work it.
And it's posted on the website?
Uh-huh. And I have posted on the front door, but that's old school.
Well, if the chair wants to do that, that's great. But to me, if I was chair, I mean, if we have staff, that's kind of what staff are for.
Exactly.
I mean, how much, I'm a volunteer, and I'm being called 5 times a day
Yeah.
about setting agendas or adding to agendas and stuff.
Well, it's like just a moment ago, you asked me if we had an agenda. Well,
I thought you started producing an agenda, or somebody did, for this meeting too. So, I've been, on the website, I've had a hard time finding an agenda. You know, it's going through the city and finding the CAPC and, going through all that. It's not an easy find yet, but I figure it's something we could fix in the future. I don't know. To me, it's protecting our volunteers to say, you know, if you volunteer to be chair, we're not going to dump all this stuff on you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to say you're going to be called all the time. You
Yeah.
know, because they do. You know, like Chris has his own business to run. And Chris here does, and David does, and Mark does. So, I don't know. That's something we definitely can discuss. But I don't, because I have my limited experience with other commissions, but, you know, nobody else I know of. It's the staff person who does the paperwork, the agendas, and the minutes and stuff, too. Okay, where was I?
number 9.
Number 9? Number 9 was commissioners shall adopt such rules and regulations as they may deem necessary and expedite for the proper operation of the commission. They should have the authority to alter, change, or amend such rules and regulations at their discretion with majority of the commission at a regular meeting. Number 10, a commission shall adopt policies and procedures, including those of the city of Eureka Springs, and additional policies and procedures to ensure proper financial management, hiring, employment practices, reporting, and transparency pertaining to the issue of taxpayer funding. Section 11, commission members should advise the commission chair a minimum of 1 day before the meeting date if they expect to be absent. Next one, conflict of interest. Number 1, no member of the commission with a direct or indirect financial interest shall participate in, vote on, influence, or attempt to influence an official decision under consideration by the commission. Number 2, no member of the commission shall participate in any discussion or vote on a rule or regulation that exclusively benefits the member. Article 7, use of tax revenue. Section 1, all funds credited to the Eureka Springs City Advertising and Promotion Fund shall be used for advertising and promoting the city and its environs, or for the construction, reconstruction, extension, equipment improvement, maintenance, repair, operation of a convention center, or for the operation of tourist promotion facilities in the city and facilities necessary for supporting or otherwise pertaining to a convention center, or for any other use as authorized by the state law in the manner as shall be determined by the Eureka Springs City Advertising Promotion Commission. The commission shall have the authority to determine funding of the arts or for supporting the city's advertising and promotion endeavors for arts and culture. Section 2, pursuant to this section, if the commission determines that funding of the arts is necessary for our supporting of its city's advertising and promotion endeavors, it shall use its funds and/or funds derived from the tax. ACA 26-75-606A and 2. Section 3, all local taxes, levies as authorized by state law and Eureka Springs City Code shall be credited to the city advertising and promotion fund, shall be fixed and used only for the purposes prescribed by the state law and city ordinances. Section 4, prohibited use of taxes. Such taxes shall not be used for general capital improvements within the city, for the costs associated with general operation of the city, and for general subsidy of any civic groups or the Chamber of Commerce. Section 5, The authorization and limitations contained herein shall be reasonably constructed so as to provide funds for promoting and encouraging tourism and conventions while not allowing such special revenues to be utilized for expenditures that are normally paid from general revenues of the city. ACA 26-75-606C and 4. Section 5. The City Council may by ordinance pledge all or any part of the revenue from the tax levy pursuant to this article to the payment of principal of and interest on bonds issued by the city under authority of any other law for the purpose of providing all or part of the funds for the acquisition, construction, reconstruction, extension, equipment, improvement, maintenance, or operation of any facility, including without limitation, auditoriums and parking facilities which are or will be operated as part of or operated or used in connection with or in support of a convention center project. Section 5. City Council may or by ordinance pledge all or any part of the revenue from the tax levied pursuant to this article to the payment of principal and interest on bonds issued by the city under the authority of ACA 14-170-206. Such pledge of revenue shall be by the ordinance authorizing the tourism revenue bonds and shall be subject to the approval of the commission. Such ordinance shall be governed by the provision of ACA 26-75-613. Section 6. All or any part of the revenue derived from the tax levy pursuant to this article may be used and or pledged for the retirement of bonds issued for the establishment and operation of other tourism-oriented facilities, including but not limited to theme parks and other family entertainment facilities. Such revenue shall be used or pledged for the purpose authorized by ACA 26-75-602 only upon the approval of the Commission. MC 1978, Section 4, 3202, 2-3A through E. Changes to bylaws. Article 8. Section 1. These bylaws shall be adopted or amended with a affirmative simple majority vote of the commission members of the Eureka Springs City Advertising Promotion Commission. Section 2. Amendments shall be proposed in writing at a regular meeting and voted on at a following meeting. If a written amendment has been given to the commissioners, a special meeting can be called 10 days after a proposed change has been given to the commission for the purpose of voting on the change. By majority action of the Eureka Springs City Advertising Promotion Commission, these laws are approved on this blank day of July 2021. That signature, print, name by the chair, and date. There's this policy for open and responsive operation.
My tablet is not loading. Okay, here we go. Okay. Do you want me to read this part, Steve? Okay. Policy for open and responsive operation. Number 1, consistent with state law, the Eureka Springs CAPC and staff will respond as quickly as possible to provide all documents requested by citizens, allowing them to examine the records and providing copies of all public information rapidly in forms that the public can readily find and use. Number 2, public documents must be open to inspection and copying by any citizen of the state of Arkansas within 3 business days upon request in accordance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, but the commission and staff should attempt to provide access even sooner. The requester may examine records and request copies of documents, and it is the policy of Eureka Springs CAPC to provide those documents as soon as possible in accordance with FOIA. 3, it is also the policy of Eureka Springs CAPC to recommend that sustainable measures be encouraged, such as the use of digital media, CD, DVD, jump drives, etc., or emailed scanned documents to use of Dropbox or like platform to avoid the use of paper that causes a negative environmental impact. Such copies of documents are to be provided at the actual cost of the digital media, CD, DVD, or jump drive, or at no charge if the requesting citizen provides their own data storage devices. Number 4, if the requester prefers paper copies, the person requesting must pay for the actual cost, which should be no more than 5 cents per copied sheet. If it costs less than 5 cents per sheet, remember that actual cost is the standard upon which you should use in compliance with such request. Larger paper documents such as maps will be more expensive, but the standard remains that the costs will be judged by the actual cost of the copy. Number 5, avoid any situations in which staff could turn a simple document / information request into a formal FOIA request unnecessarily. The first thing that does is hinder customer service and create an environment of a closed agency as opposed to the Eureka Springs CAPC's open government policies and principles. There might be requesters who merely add the words, "and I request it under FOIA," but the actual request is likely for a routine document like a form that the person could just be downloaded. Either should be approached as a citizen service situation. Number 6, it is our policy that a person does not have to fill in any form to get public record. Requests may be made in person, by phone, by email, or in writing, and all are equally valid. Sometimes a simple document or information request will come from a citizen with the words, "I request this under the Freedom of Information Act," but it is not necessary. The Commission and staff should provide the requested information or documents to the requestor without the requestor's need to invoke the Freedom of Information Act. The Commission and staff, number 7, the Commission and staff should treat all requests for documents with the same attention, responsiveness, and urgency as accorded FOIA requests. Whether a simple oral document request or a formal written request under the FOIA statute, it comes down to servicing and getting the information or document to the requestor as soon as possible. Number 8, to increase transparency and accountability, the bylaws of the Eureka Springs CAPC must be posted on the Commission's website. Number 9, to increase transparency and accountability, the agenda and supporting documents for meetings of the Eureka Springs CAPC must be posted on the city's and the Commission's website no later than 5 days before the scheduled meeting. For special meetings, agenda and supporting documents should be posted at least 24 hours in advance, except in a rare emergency when a 2-hour notice is required. Number 10, to increase transparency and accountability, HMR tax summaries should be posted on the Commission's website within 1 week after that information is available. Then everything I have after that is just emails.
Okay. So that's it. So I suggest if anybody wants making changes to this, to make notes of it, bring it back for our next meeting, because I think Chris wants to vote on this new bylaw change. And
Yeah. Scott, is there any way that Danielle can email us a copy of this so that we can make our suggestions? Okay.
I will get that in the morning.
Okay. Mr. Hinkie, did you have something you want to present it?
Kathy and I are here for Rotary, but we have a bit of information to share with you. Actually, we got one.
Hey,
I'll take one. Thank you, sir. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Stand up here, Kathy. Here's the, you don't have to read this, I'll give you the summary. So as you probably know, because we discussed it a little bit, Rotary has shut down Center Street in the past and had Oktoberfest, which was a very small beer festival. There's different sides of the coin. Some people will tell you that that went well and it was well attended. It was, but it really clogs up and jams up that part of the street. You have to fence off both sidewalks. People still can pass back and forth on the sidewalks. Doesn't really matter. The long story is it's good and bad all at the same time. It used to happen on War Eagle weekend, and the reason that was because this was a fundraiser for the Rotary. Obviously, it was shooting fish in a barrel that weekend, but that's not necessarily the best situation for Eureka Spring. So now that I'm on Rotary and have been involved with the commission and many aspects of Eureka, we happen to identify that the weekend of September 29th and 30th is actually an open weekend this particular year. Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue happens ahead of it. There's this 5th weekend in September, and then Corvette weekend happens. We were talking about doing the beer festival, and Kathy's been working on that. She's getting in touch with the regional breweries, et cetera, to have something down across from New Delhi, which if you want to flip to the back page of what I handed you, the second to back page, it gives you a layout there. And this is the parking lot across from New Delhi. They'll basically be those little squares are the 18 tents. Those will be the vendors. We'll have a little food service area. You'll enter and exit, and we'll have a giant tent there in case it rains for them to get some shelter. This is actually the beer garden piece of Oktoberfest that will probably happen whether you guys want to do anything or not. And when I say you guys, girls, pardon me, all of you, as we talked more and more about it, Scott was like, yeah, I think I'm for it. I like the idea for the town. As we discussed it more, we talked about having something in the park as complimentary Oktoberfest music, whatever it might be. In these situations, rather than Rotary start going out of their way to say, we want, this gets where it gets inappropriate for Rotary to say, we want you to spend money on a festival that we're creating in the park with a band for the whole entire community. I mean, you could do that, it's just more difficult. If you have the pieces of the entertainment staff, meaning someone to hire the entertainment, keep it organized, you're already doing music in the park situation, it would be better to have the Oktoberfest moniker as an overall weekend come from the actual CAPC. So then it's your event, not the beer garden part. The overall, the CAPC is designating that this particular weekend is Oktoberfest weekend. Rotary is going to have a little fundraiser down there on Main Street on their own. The beer garden will exist. It's just a complimentary part of an overall festival. It also lets the restaurants and the CAPC engage in communications to say, as a city, we want to move into an Oktoberfest placement of an event for the entire town. Rotary will still do its own little thing, and we can still go and ask for the temporary entertainment district. And just to jump to that part right quick, not to jump around too much, but the temporary entertainment district on the very back page there, you can see the little blue square, which is the band shell. It would encompass Basin Park, swing down the rainbow staircase, the old rainbow, original, the OG, come down, surround our parking lot. Therefore, New Delhi is right there in the center, Missy's White Rabbit's included. It's a small sampling of actual bars there, but that would allow people to come and go from the beer garden up to Basin Park, and you would really have in the center of your town a true Oktoberfest festival. That piece of it and the beer garden can be pushed through by Rotary, but the CAPC saying we will designate Oktoberfest on September 29th to October 1st as a citywide event helps lubricate the situation, and it helps with a lot of inclusion for restaurants. It enables us to, we could come to you and say we want $2,500 in advertising with a marketing fund request. That just ties our hands into, you have to place ads. There's not really a partnership in this situation of producing a festival together. You're really just helping advertise our festival. the much more conducive way to make this happen as a citywide festival is for you to own the festival. Then we're a partner in supporting something that's much bigger than Rotary, and we can also include community center, chamber, whoever wants to chime in on a bigger situation. Does any of that make sense? Questions? All right, so this is really a piece
So
for
what is the Rotary exactly? I've heard of the Rotary, but I couldn't tell
Okay,
you.
Rotary International. Kathy, you're up.
Oh, yeah. It started out many years ago. We are 100 years old this year, so Rotary's been here a long time. It started out as local businessmen getting together, and it was only for men for a long time until the 80s, and then women were included. And what they did is the business owners got together, they kind of networked. That's exactly what it was for, is networking. So if you had a bank, I'd come to your bank. If you had a grocery store, I'd go to your grocery store. Yeah, it started in Chicago, and then it's all over the world now. And what we do with the local Rotary is every dime we make goes back into the community. We do backpacks for the kids, the food. We do the big shoe drive for the kids. So those are our two big fundraisers. We used to put on a race here for years. Then it got that there were so many races everywhere, we just weren't really competing any longer, so we dropped that. And so we did start, before COVID, we did have our Oktoberfest, and it did quite well for us. And now we do scholarships for the kids as well. So every dime we make goes back out to the community, so we don't keep anything for ourselves at all. And that's basically what Rotary is.
To be a member of the Rotary, you have to own a business?
Well, originally, yes, that was the idea. But now you can be just community-minded, and if you want to join Rotary, which we always have openings for people, it's really good. Because again, you still network, and you find out what's going on. And if you ever need working hands, you call on the Rotary, because they always do it. And don't expect anything in return.
How many members do you have here locally?
We have 35 in Eureka, and Holiday Island has 47. And Berryville, I think, has about 30. So there are 3 Rotaries around this immediate area.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Doesn't the Rotary meet tomorrow?
Yes. It's always held on Thursday at noon at the Crescent Hotel.
At the Crescent.
So you're always welcome to come as our guests.
And really, I think this is more, this becomes the exact purpose of a workshop, because I want you all to hear it. You need to be able to communicate to each other about this idea. And really, a piece of this has to be driven by the director. It happens to be Scott. So if Scott's in on this and has a vision, he needs to share that vision for you. And we are more of a support role to say, we're going to have the beer garden no matter what. So this can be as big for Eureka Springs as you want it to be, or it can just boil it back down to Rotary trying to raise their own funds in the little beer garden spot. I think this doesn't just apply to specifically this Oktoberfest. This would be a better way, because as you know, kind of the only way you can support organizations often is through a contract for service. And I think you could come up with a lot of synergy in this town to say, here's where the CA, and this would be helpful if workshops were held where people would more chime in and say, this is where we're headed with this. It gives a good connection to the director, and the director can say, we want this to be more of a blanket idea for the town. And now you're in the driver's seat, or the director and his staff is in the driver's seat of how things might fall together, rather than just an organization kind of going out there doing their own thing. What happens with marketing funds is you're so limited on what you can actually spend the money on. We start trying to promote something that isn't such a great event anyway, or could be better, I suppose you should say, and there's just no way to interact with that event as the CAPC other than pushing it forward with information. If you own the event, now that obviously comes with staff and labor and whatever else, but there's an open road out there for volunteerism, and more with the right people in the right positions, you could get further down the road with some of these events and synergy if you, as the CAPC, own the event. An example will be, I guess this will be news because we just talked about it at the chamber. We're also on the chamber board, or I suppose ex officios, so to speak. The Antique Auto Festival. Antique Auto, the chamber has pushed that as far as we literally can, and we don't have a car club guy. We don't have the oomph to make Antique Auto. That needs to be handed over to another group of, and if it will be presented, this isn't us presenting it, but what we already discussed is there's going to be kind of a pecking order. Does CAPC want it? Does Carroll County Cruisers want it? Does this organization want it? Because we don't want to see something that has some success just fall by the wayside, but when an organization sticks their hand up, it's kind of how some of these other festivals existed and got handed over to other groups, be it CAPC or like, for instance, the Chocolate Festival. The Chamber didn't originate the Chocolate Festival. We got it handed to us from the school supporting network that originally put that on. So some of these would be opportunities that the CAPC could chime in and say, yeah, we'll head a certain direction with it, and you have way more funds to throw at doing something worthwhile than what a small organization does.
Well said. Well said.
What do you think of that, Scott?
I've already, I've spoken to several leaders in our community, and the Oktoberfest at one point was a huge draw. Before I moved to Eureka, that was one of the reasons I came here. It was just, it started in as a tent next to the Odd years ago, and it expanded to Center Street, and it was a phenomenal draw of tourism, and it would be easy to bring back because now I have the ability to work with different groups, and the ideas are here. I think it would work, and I just checked my calendar, and that weekend is open. So if we fill that weekend, the month of September and October will be extremely active in our town. So I have talked to our attorney about what we can do to promote this event, so I know what we can do to grow it. So it would be
For
pretty
future reference, this particular weekend is open in September. I would envision that this would move to the second weekend in October in future dates, because the only thing that really happens on that second weekend of October is Hillberry out at the farm, which we're not trying to go into competition with him, but honestly, they kind of do their own thing out there. There's a history with the CAPC trying to partner with the farm and push that up and have because man, that was a dream. How can we have those people here, whatever else? We ran trolleys out there. It's a very difficult thing to partner with. They like being out there, and they're doing their own thing out there. They don't necessarily want to come back and forth. We catch them going out there, we catch them coming back. But I think Oktoberfest would have its own legs that second weekend of October. I think where this really happens is you put the CAPC hat and say, well, aren't we fully booked? And this was something I would always say as a commissioner is we don't need to have events when we already have 100% occupancy in an October situation.
Right.
I agree with that. Where I just turn with this is Oktoberfest appeals to the type of a younger, more progressive type of tourist that is probably going to come here more times a year. They're probably already coming for St. Patty's Day and other festivals that are geared to this mental awareness of being out, having a drink, engaging with the town in a backdrop that's custom built for the type of attraction that this is. So I think you get a more targeted audience that's appreciative of what you're trying to put forward to them, and I think it just makes the town a little bit younger and progressive, more so than if you don't have the event at all. Are you trading dollars in that? Probably so. Is there still an advantage to trading dollars? I would say yes.
Okay.
I'm on board with it, yeah, definitely.
Anybody else have anything to add?
It's great. I've been to
David?
them all. They're great.
Yeah.
Been doing it for
Fun.
years, and why not expand it?
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
What's your last name, Kathy? Hanley?
So, and just to elaborate a little more, I think what we're asking for the CAPC and Scott to do, really it's you guys that need to be asking if he's saying, hey, we're going to have an event, or I guess it's really your event in that case.
We need to do this one.
Fundamentally, the start is just music in the park on that Saturday to have more than just a tent with some beer vendors down. It lubricates it to where you have something to go back and forth. Now, Cat House wouldn't be a part of the entertainment district, but Jeff has said that he will fully have specials and complimentary situations where those people will be over here and it'll just lubricate through the town, and hopefully we could get something going with the Bavarian Inn and obviously Gravel Bar to where that would be the dream of any of this is anytime you have a festival, everybody is hitting on all cylinders where there's specials and a theme for the whole entire town. When you're a tourist coming in, you feel like, oh, everybody knows kind of that this is Oktoberfest weekend. It's not just one thing off to the side.
That's what I like about this event is that we're pulling every one in that wants to be a part of it. And that's what I like about this. This is going to be a citywide event.
Right, and
Inclusive.
Rotary is really about bringing everybody
It-
together.
I like
so
that.
We really like that, so we're good. And we'll take care of the beer garden. We're pretty good at that.
Oh, actually, a piece of this, of me thinking that you need to own it, one piece that came up early on was portable toilets. Like, well, can Scott spend money on portable toilets? Honestly, he really can't spend money on portable toilets if he doesn't own the event. As you guys are the Oktoberfest presenter and everybody else has supporting roles, you can put portable toilets wherever you want because it's part of your event.
Yeah. You are correct.
Okay. So our next meeting, we need to vote on this to make it a CAPC event?
Will you be coming to the next general meeting of CAPC to pitch this as well?
That's fine, yeah. At this point, I think we're to the point of how do we make this go forward?
Right.
And yeah, I'm willing to present however you would like to hear it, and I can work with Scott before that.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest, because of course we can't vote on this
No, sure.
today, so.
Yeah. Well, and really, there's not a lot to vote on. Really, Scott's just presenting it to you guys to say, I'm tasking my people to hold this event. He has the authority to create and hold the event. So it's more, that's why you have a workshop.
This goes back to earlier, I said it's so important to have the workshop sometimes before a regular meeting, because this is a good example of what we would be discussing formally if we had to. But as Damon said, I have the authority from the commission to promote this. And we've been discussing this for at least a month. And so this is the finalization of the plan that we're going to implement so that you see where we're going.
And our members have gone out to businesses that they know them personally and said, would you be a part of this if the city took it on? And they're saying, yes, they'd like to be a part of it. And they've never really been in part of it. So I think it'll spread out.
And not to change the topic completely back to workshops, but I think, now you're seeing your director needs to guide the workshop 100%. It's really more for him than it is for anybody else, because he's going to have a ton of stuff. And when you're saying, well, if there isn't anything to meet about, we don't need to meet. But trust me, he will always have a stack of stuff that he'll want to go through. And one last piece that has nothing to do with this immediately, but part of workshop, you can talk about general things. In 2016, 2017, Ken Kettleson was chair. The commission wanted to go out and hire a consulting firm, Johannes Consulting, I think is what it was, out of Fayetteville, to come in and give us some guidance on really how could we be more dynamic as a commission and how could this work better. He went out and interviewed all the staff for 2 weeks. He interviewed every commissioner for a couple of weeks. He came back and gave us, I don't know if this, have you ever seen this? Mm-hmm. So it's a big, thick binder full of information from other CAPCs. Also, we sat through a giant presentation of him distilling exactly what he found. And I'll tell you what stuck with me of what he found, and it was everybody on the commission needs to go out in a workshop environment, have a beer together, and share their vision of how Eureka Springs should look and how we can work together to get there. It was truly just, that's why the workshop was important too, and we never got there. It ended up being what you guys got, where it's like, okay, let's meet, it's starchy. There was never a real discussion of how do we get this thing called the Eureka Springs destination to function well, where we feel good about, we know what's on each other's mind, and it allows you to function with your director in a highly compatible sense where you're not just reading, I mean, I get what you had to do today, but it had a lot more cohesiveness to the commission, or that was where he wanted us to head. So it was an $8,000 situation to just find out that knowing each other better was the answer.
Team building exercise.
Yeah.
Well, I've only been on this commission for a couple months, and I'm not a business person. I came from government agencies and retired. So I'm learning a lot. And of course, when I came on the commission, all the staff was gone, the director was gone. It was like, what do we do? Pick up the pieces here. And thank God we had Scott over here who came in and said he'd be interim director. So I feel like we're almost reinventing the organization from the ground. But we want that history to see what's worked in the past. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. It didn't work. So, but I like the idea of the workshops. But this format seems, I mean, I can't even hardly see you guys because it's blinding because we're on recorded and stuff.
I know why he doesn't like meetings if he's ex-government.
That's
My
right.
husband's ex-government, they meet to death.
Oh, they have meetings about meetings. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I've gone through all-day meetings before. It's
I
crazy.
get it.
So if I run a meeting and it's to the point and we're out of there, I'm not a big meeting person. So I'm looking at this and the agenda, now it's our time. We don't have to do what it used to do. We can do what done in the future. And to me, yeah, that is, Scott should be organizing the agenda. Scott should be presenting to us what we need to be talking about and deciding. I'm working with the chair as well, but it's really, I think,
I think that's a good point because there's so many ideas I have, and this was one of them, but I've not been able to share them because I didn't have the right environment to do that.
Right.
And if we have that environment you talked about, and this, based on the study and the visions I have, we can go a long way quickly. And just the excitement and knowing about Oktoberfest coming and knowing what we've got planned for September and moving into the fourth quarter, I mean, that gives you assurances of what we're doing, what we can to get tourism back in here. We're already planning in the fourth quarter, so that's the things you need to know about.
Yeah, I wanna
because you
hear
need to be
that.
able to answer those questions in public.
and I want Scott to be almost directing us on what we're talking about in these meetings. And him and his staff are the ones who are doing this. We're
We're
just,
going to do pre-sales on the tickets for the beer garden. So we can tell, our goal is 500. Hopefully we sell more than that.
I saw
It's
that,
been
yeah.
easier to get breweries to come here knowing that the city's on board, if
Okay.
you are on board. That's helped a lot in recruiting that. It really has. So it helps us a lot too.
I'm looking forward to it.
And just
It's
swing
gonna be
back
good.
around to your point, in the past, when I was a part of the commission, the director fundamentally set all the agenda, et cetera, but the chair would meet with the director the day before or whenever to go over all that.
they
And then
meet every Tuesday,
if they,
right?
right.
Oh, well, they're doing-
If
Scott,
you-
don't
yeah.
you meet every Tuesday?
But it was all driven by the director up to the chair, not
Right.
the chair to the director.
Yeah, and
because-
again,
Yeah.
we're picking up all the, that's, everything was falling apart, so we're picking it up and
Sure.
running with it again. So we need to look at reorganizing
You're-
and stuff.
Sounds like you're doing well.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys.
So I think even doing the minutes and stuff, if we have staff to do that, I don't understand why we have commissioners doing minutes, so.
I thought of one other thing when you said that, because Rick used to always take the minutes for all the meetings, and I was going to chime in on the finance director used to answer to the director, and Rick brought up one time that it wasn't necessarily that great of an idea because the finance director may be influenced by the director to do something one way or another, and the finance director should answer to the commission, not to the
Directly.
actual director.
Oh.
And so we voted on that to separate out, so the finance director at the time answered to the commission. That's how that got separated, was he wasn't actually a direct boss of the finance director.
Oh, cool. So when you were financial director, did you report to the director or to the commission?
Both.
Both? Who's your
In the
boss?
position I'm in now, I reported, out as a courtesy, I reported to the tourism director, but I reported directly to the commission. In all of the audit situations I've ever been in, the financial director reported directly to the commission for that reason right there.
And I see it as a check balance kind of thing too, to say, that we're not surprised by some situation going on that the director is not telling us about, so. No, I'm not saying anything about you, Scott.
Oh, I know. It's just business. It's just
I don't think
good
you
business.
do that, but I'm just saying,
It's just
but you have to
business.
prepare everything as if it's a different person coming in that we don't know
Right.
and all this stuff, so. Any other comments? Anything
have-
else anybody wants to talk about?
I have something, and we've talked about this in the past, but after we end a year, we have surplus funds. And for the past 2 years, we've had a total of about $900,000 in surplus funds. And those funds have been maintained in what is our operating account. And the operating account is where I make the deposits for sales tax receipts each week, each day. And so that balance grows and grows and grows. So I don't know if the commission wants to think about pulling the surpluses out and putting them into a third account so that if somebody asks you, what is our surplus, you can go to the third account, which is account 1030, And that, everything, all the money listed there is a surplus from prior years. Okay? I don't know, that's something to think about. If you want to do that, it wouldn't be a problem, but I feel more comfortable with you saying yes, do it, or it's okay where it is. Also, I'd like.
Hold on, let's talk about that. Anybody have any comments?
I don't think you can actually, you can bring it up in a workshop, of course, but that would be something that would need to be at the general meeting.
Right,
Correct.
To make a decision, but anybody have any
I just want
comments
you to,
about it?
something to think about, and I'll be glad to answer questions. It's right at $900,000 that I would be moving from the account 1020 into account 1030. And the only way that account 1030 would ever have its funds used would be through the commission authorizing that. Okay, so if you say, Scott, we need money to fund building this wall, well, it would come from account 1030.
Yeah.
If you choose.
Yeah.
That's kind of like your.
So can you get with Chris, make sure that gets on the agenda for next meeting?
Okay. And the next thing is, I have a job description written for a financial assistant, I'm calling that position. It would be a 40-hour-a-week job. It would be, I would be supervising, I want to say this, I want to train someone that's got skills and bring them up to an accountant level, but still supervise their work to avoid mistakes, okay, until they learn. And I want to find that person and bring them on board because, you know, in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, this commission will change. I may or may not be here. I don't know, but we need somebody that can carry on with the bookkeeping part of it. And I think we need to look at that. I have a really good job description. I'd like to go ahead and post and start getting applications and then narrow it down and bring someone to you to look at. But as far as the budgetary process of what this position would pay, we would not exceed our budget for 2023 by hiring someone in that position. So
I think that's a good idea. However, just going over the bylaws, we'll have to change bylaws because that's not the way it reads. Having a financial assistant, it says somebody who's a CPA. We just read that, so we would have to change the bylaws in order for you to hire that position as an assistant.
I don't
Not a
think I understand.
Bylaws say they have to be a CPA.
I thought it said that would be for the annual financial audit. I thought that's what that meant.
Or was that the audit?
End of the year audits.
So the old position was 20 hours, wasn't it? When your
It
position
was
wasn't
29
full-time?
hours a week.
29 hours? You think it needs to go to 40?
I'm going to have enough duties added on there to make it a 40-hour-a-week job, such as overseeing a lot of what we do here in the auditorium, such as with the ticketing process, also with the inventory control over the concession, and the use of the Square system for tracking purchases using the Square internet system. Working with somewhat with the daily operations with promoters as they come into town. It will vary on that until I get that nailed down. So,
Okay. Well, it's the responsibility of every organization to make sure that every position can be backed up. So if somebody can't make it to work, because I like to use a positive scenario, they win the lottery and they leave town or get killed in a car wreck or whatever, unfortunate scenarios, that organization doesn't come to a skidding halt because someone can't come to the office.
well, it's hindering me in being a great tourism director because I'm spending a lot of time in the financial side because it has to be current. I don't neglect the books, or we have to keep those current.
And I think that's one of your strong points is
I
you
have
know
to
the
do that.
finances. That's great.
But it takes, it does take 25 hours more, at least a week, probably more than that. But I'm not one to just halfway do that on the books. I'm just not going to do it. So it makes it rough.
I'm talking about all the staff in general. You need everybody to be able to back up everybody. If somebody can't make it to work one day, CAPC office shouldn't come to a skidding stop because someone can't make it to work. So, and that's true with any organization. I think at least have someone with the general knowledge be able to walk in and say, at least I know how that works, we can cover it, you know. Do you find it?
Not yet, I'm still looking.
Okay. This person, this financial director, I guess we want to call them, they need to be independent enough to report to us, or would you do that? I mean, we just talked about them sort of being separate.
No, this position should be the same as the way I've operated, and they should report to you as I would. But you're not going to find someone to bring in with the skill sets I have. You know, I've got 40 years' experience. You're not going to find someone to come in with that. But I want to share that knowledge with them and help them grow. But they're going to be independent so that if, in the assurance that I leave, they can come in and you would never know anything happened. They
Right.
would still be reporting. They know what to do.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
But they need to be independent so that if they see an issue, they should be able to come and talk to you about it and not in fear of their job. So
Right.
that's the way I would work it.
Cool.
See on section 5 on top of page 3, it says, city council shall, let's see here. The commission shall select a certified public accountant or firm of certified public accountants to submit an annual audit of the operations. That's a state requirement to have your books audited annually, either by the legislative audits or a certified public accountancy. So that's what that was referencing.
Where's that at?
That was on section 5, top of page 3, article 4. Article 4, section 5.
Yeah, it just says the audit, must be CPA.
Yeah.
As we move forward and all the positions at some point get hired and you decide what we need and don't need, I like to see all the job descriptions set in stone too, so in the future, we know who's who and what we need to hire for.
I'll send a job description to you tomorrow. I have it available. But I didn't want to really post it out there till I talk to my commission and get their backing as to what we're doing internally in the office, what we
Okay.
need.
Great.
But I think for 2024, when we start planning, the deciding factor will be how we spend our advertising money and whom we spend it with and what we're going to do internally, because that's going to drive the staffing needs. But I don't want to hire someone unless they have 40-plus hours of work, because we're going to be busy, and rightfully we should, in producing, so.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Anybody else? Next meeting is, what I see, May 24th at 6 p.m. here. And so we are done. Since it's not a meeting, we don't have to adjourn. You're not official.